Hey guys, good morning. We're going to talk about lesson 12.4, which is volumes of prisms and cylinders. So this is something that you should be pretty familiar with. Hopefully you didn't get it mixed up with the surface area problems, but as long as you're watching the videos, you should be fine. So volume is obviously how much an object, a three-dimensional object, can hold. Okay, how much space is on the inside of this object. And so for a volume of a prism, it says the volume of a prism is, and we have a big B times height, which is different than area of base times height, which is for just a two-dimensional rectangle. So when we have this big B, this is the area of the base, whatever the base is, okay? In this case, we might consider the base to be this square at the bottom. Okay, we want to find that area. And then the height is perpendicular to the base, whatever segment that is. So I'm going to say perpendicular length to the base. Okay, and we can use that formula for any prism. Actually including cylinders, okay? So, because a cylinder technically isn't a prism because its sides aren't independent rectangles. Okay, so for the first one, we have, it looks like a pentagon, so a pentagonal prism, and we want to find the volume. So area of the base times height, which we need the area of the base. The base is a pentagon, so we're going to find the area of this pentagon. A pentagon has 5 sides. Okay, so we're going to have 5 tiny little triangles in here. But because this is technically a regular pentagon, so all of those little triangles are going to be the same size. So if we find the area of one of those, we'll have the area of all. And so I'm going to multiply the area of the triangle, one of the triangles of that base, by 5 because I would have 5 of those. So all of the sides are 5 millimeters here, so that would include this side. And so that's our base and our height of our triangle here. So the area of triangles are 1/2 base times height. So we'll take 1/2 of 5 millimeters times 3.4 millimeters. And that's going to be the area of one of those triangles of the pentagon. Okay, so 0.5 times 5 times 3.4. And that is 8.5 millimeters squared. Okay, so we have the area of the base, the height of our pyramid is always going to be perpendicular to the base. This would actually form a right angle here. And so this is the height of the prism. I think I said pyramid, but this is a prism. So that's 8 millimeters there. Okay, so we're ready to, we've got this, we're ready to find the volume. So volume is area of the base, which in this case was 8.5 millimeters squared, times the height, which is 8 millimeters. And so I'm going to take 8.5 times 8, and that's 68. And then I have millimeters squared and millimeters. So that's millimeters squared is millimeters times millimeters. Then we're going to add another one, so that's millimeters cubed. And that's why volume is cubed. Okay, in the second one, 1B, we have a triangular prism, okay? In a prism, the sides are always rectangles, and if there's any other shape in the prism itself, then that shape has to be the base. So in this case, we have a triangle, which is obviously not a rectangle, so that has to be the base, okay? That has to be. And in a prism, the bases are perpendicular to each other, or sorry, parallel to each other. So we should have one at the other end, which we do. So I want to find the area of the space. So volume is area of base times height. The area of the base is going to be a triangle, which is 1/2 its base times height. So since this is a right triangle, this is going to be our base, and whatever this is going to be our height. Well, we don't technically know that one yet, but I do have 3 sides of this right triangle because this is a hypotenuse of one base. It's also the hypotenuse of the other base. So we can solve for the height of the triangular base here by using Pythagorean theorem. So I'm going to say, I'll just do a little question mark, squared plus 9 squared, because it's our legs squared. The sum of our legs squared is equal to the hypotenuse squared. That's 81 equals 225. And I'm going to take 225 minus 81. That's 144. So our little question mark squared here is 144. And if I go and I take the square root of both sides, I'm going to get that our little missing side here is 12. Okay, 12 feet. Which would then allow me to find the area of the base. So the area of the base, since it's a triangle, we're going to take 1/2 its base, which will take 9 feet, times its height, which is 12 feet, and that is then 54 feet squared. And then the height of the prism, so this part right here, the height of the prism is always perpendicular to the base. And so it's going to be then 10 feet is the height of the prism. Okay, so we're ready to put that in our equation. And so volume for this triangular prism is the area of the base, which was 54 feet squared, times its height, which is 10 feet, which is 540 feet cubed. Area of base times height. It's important that you determine what is the base and what part is the height. Okay, for volume of a cylinder, really the same thing here, area of base times height. But our base is a circle. So if we wanted to adjust our formula a little bit, we could put in what the area of a circle is, which is pi times radius squared, and then multiply by height. Okay, so I just replaced area of base with pi r squared, which is how they get this formula. Okay, but you can always go back to volume equals area of base times height and just kind of work it out independently, just like we did at the top. So our volume, pi r squared times height. So it's giving us a diameter of 9. So our radius is half of that, which is 4.5 inches. So radius is 4.5 inches. We already know what pi is. And height is always perpendicular again to the base. So if our base is a circle, this has to be our height. So the height is 5 inches. And we can just substitute into the formula. So we have pi, we have our radius. We're going to square that and then multiply it by the height, which is 5 inches. Okay, and I'm just going to put that in my calculator. I'm going to hit pi, as is, I'm going to hit pi times, and then we're going to do 4.5 squared times 5. And I get 318, and it doesn't say what place value, so I'm going to go ahead and go out to the hundredths place, 0.9 inches cubed. In general, if it doesn't say what place value, I usually go out to the hundredths. Okay, so there's the volume of my cylinder. All right, that's our notes for today. That's much shorter than what we've been doing. So again, pay attention to the notes. Those are the formulas that you're using for your homework. Okay? Best of luck. Have a good day.